All right, take a look at Houston. Game 1 against the T-Wolves. Really, you could have probably just done James Harden and everyone else on earth, considering how great he was. But CP3, not necessarily a great game, but it's only one game. Would we have a little role reversal, perhaps, in Game 2? What do we call that? Griff, I saw you doing that in the back. That's how Griff gets ready for a segment.
That's when I bang my elbow on the wall, actually.
I think this is why he's struggling, because that dance was so bad. 12 points, 2 of 18 in the game for Harden, which you would think means for the rest of the highlights going to be them losing, but not so fast. A couple of guys you know in CP3 and Joe Green getting it done for Houston, Ryan.
Oh, yes, they did. And honestly, fellas, this is the sign of a good team. It could be any player on any given night. And we look at Minnesota, you say Karl-Anthony Towns has to go off and have a crazy night. LeBron has to have a crazy night. But this Houston team is doing it by committee. Obviously, we know Harden is there. But tonight, it was a complete squad. So, you know, great sign to see Chris Paul and Joe Green get going.
The Houston native, Gerald Green, getting it done. He had 21. Paul had 15. Chris Paul getting fancy.
Go get it.
That started out as a lob for Capella.
Yeah, I already know.
Why you gotta ruin the highlight, man? Come on. Griff, come on, man.
That right there was...
That's not how we sell tickets.
That was nice.
Ooh, this was nice inside. The end of the game, he ends up with 27 and 8. Lead was 26 at the time. They went by 20, 102 to 82. And I mean, what's not to like about what Houston does? You don't get anything out of Harden, really, and you still sit there and you got a 2-0 lead, considering where you're at. On the other side, not exactly so great for Karl-Anthony Towns and company here after the game.
What made the difference tonight?
Just try to be aggressive. You know, you was giving me a hard time about all the turnovers I had last game. But, you know, like we keep saying, we respect our opponent, we respect that team, and it's a good win for us.
Take me back to that fourth quarter in isolation. How does your mentality shift when you know you've got the hot hand?
Just taking what they give me. You know, every night they try to force me left, send James right, so just try to keep them off balance. But you can do that when you're surrounded by so many shooters. You know, our team is built like that, so thankful for those guys.
I'm not looking for statistics and all that hype and glory and all that BS that doesn't matter. You know, I'm here for wins and dubs. So whatever I got to do to win the game. Like I said before, if it takes me shooting 34 shots, 30 shots, whatever the case may be, 5 shots, you know, 1 shot, no shots, whatever the case is, I got to do for us to win. And I'm willing to do that regardless of the situation.
I love how Kat is saying it doesn't matter being humble, but they need him. I mean, this is a Griff, you look at what they got in the first couple of games. I mean, this is just not nearly enough. Not playing enough minutes, not as big of a factor as he needs to be for them to win this series.
Well, when they came into the series, if you'd told them after Game 2 Derrick Rose would be outscoring by himself Karl-Anthony Towns, you'd have been concerned. I think there's an issue if you're them going back. You're down 0-2. You limited Houston to 36.5% from the floor tonight, and James Harden 2 of 18, and you were never really in the game. So there's obviously a disconnect right now in terms of their approach on the offensive end, and the vast majority of it, to your point, Casey, is Karl has got to be in a position to demand the ball and carry this group a little bit.
You know, on the other side, Tony, obviously he played against CP3 plenty of times. This is a guy who we know can take over a game and be a factor. Because of how James has played MVP caliber, he hasn't had to do that too much, but tonight had to take on more of that load offensively and did so in Game 2.
Yeah, he showed his veteran leadership today. He showed his experience. He showed why he's an all-star. And trust me, the Rockets needed that, because if you had both of those guys playing poorly, I think Minnesota get the win. But he's a Hall of Fame point guard, and I really like Chris Paul.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing is, to go back to your point, Ryan, I mean, we know Harden MVP. We sometimes think MVP means, oh, well, the rest of the team isn't good. Yep. You're a team. Ariza, Green, Capella, everybody played their role tonight and win.
Yes, they did, and that's a sign of a great team. And, you know, thinking even deeper, this is a poker game. And they haven't had to change one coverage. They're making the same plays, getting the same shots that they'd have all season long. And you see LeBron try to do that, and he dropped the game in Game 1. Game 2, he had to show his hand and go out and score pretty much 50 points, 46 points tonight. So Griff, you know the psychological game when you're playing for a championship, and Houston's showing that.
Houston and Utah, both teams that are all about team. team, and they're getting more from more of the breadth of their roster right now.
All right, you mentioned poker. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you're a fan, it's a royal flush if you're going to have Embiid there. We'll get to that in a second. In the meantime, here's a playback of what is coming up Thursday, just in case you missed it. Jazz, Thunder, Pacers, Cavs, T-Wolves, and Rockets. Spoiler alert, LeBron was pretty decent. Speaking of which, Joel Embiid. The Avengers is out the 27th. I have a feeling Embiid not going to be a factor in that.
That's a knockoff.
Will he be in the playoffs?
Fan up in the opera?